What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the current data points, what's been coming out today that's prompting this massive sell-off, and despite everything, why today might be a very good time to buy. So I'm going to go over all that, but first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So today, SoFi is going down 2.59%, a very volatile day. As you can kind of tell right here, it is slowly recovering into power hour. There's only 2 minutes left in the trading day, so we'll kind of see where that does land. But 37.9 million shares have been traded, 43.6 is the average. And so when it comes down to today, all of this was largely prompted because of very poor data coming out from China yesterday. So GDP numbers on a year-over-year basis were a little bit lower, insinuating a slowing, and obviously anything associated to China and slowing is not a good combination. So that's kind of what is piggybacking everything. So that is kind of what is escalating everything today in combination. Just yields are going higher. It's just not a good scenario today ultimately. But with all of that though, SoFi actually did put out some news today. So SoFi launches small business financing marketplace. So looks like SoFi is kind of acting as the middleman somewhat, just so they can kind of boost the customer experience, more so from a small business standpoint. And this is their website right here. So pretty good stuff in my opinion. I don't know what the markup is essentially by SoFi being a middleman when it comes down to that, because I feel like this is also a good thing, the fact that they are kind of acting as an intermediary, because that way they don't necessarily take on so much risk. But once again, I think that this is a good move in the right direction. One of many things that SoFi has been doing to really just have a all-in-one kind of experience. So kind of good stuff. Is there a reason to go out and buy SoFi? No, but still, regardless, I think this is good news just to put out something, because a lot of companies during this crazy downtrend that's been happening has gone kind of radio silent. So it's good to see SoFi actually putting something out. It shows that they do truly care about their investors. And aside from that, though, there is some bullish data. So like I said at the very beginning, hesitantly, right now might be a good time to buy. Even though the technicals are pointing to a further downtrend to maybe the mid to low sixes, but a lot of the data points behind the scenes are kind of good. And what I mean by that is shorts. So I like to bring this up as a benchmark, not here to say SoFi is a short squeeze, but today shorts across the board massively doubled down. So a lot of growth stocks had like millions of shares increased. SoFi, not so much. Yesterday was an increase of 2.2 million, but today, oddly enough, shorts didn't really see it justified to hammer down on SoFi. So they did return 104.99 thousand shares, 13.69% of the free float is being shorted, 122.5 million shares overall are being shorted, and cost to borrow average is 0.83%. Utilization is 37.52 and short score is 63.22. And like I said, shorts have more than enough ammunition. I've said this time and time again, because they have more than 10 million shares available to be shorted. So if they really wanted to hammer SoFi, they could. And it's very cheap for them to borrow based on all the cost of borrows and the pricing and whatnot. So in reality, like, it's kind of crazy to see this as bullish, but it is very bullish in combination with a lot of the options activity. So today, now the market's closed, 3:01 Central Time, of course. So $5.02 million in calls being purchased versus 5.11 million in puts. Sentiment-wise, it is kind of evenly divided. So that is improving from the last several days, which were very negative, and that was kind of piggybacking off of the broader market. So I'm going to play a video similar to what I've done in the past, because it does really hit home on SoFi. Even though there's going to be a lot of volatility, bigger picture, banking is where it is at, and SoFi is the best of both worlds, right? Especially being a fintech. So I feel like it's just a lot of people are starting to realize that SoFi might actually be a good buying opportunity, and you can tell that based on this as well. So these are some of the transactions that have occurred on the secondary market above $100,000. Even though this does seem relatively low in comparison to the last several days, it is a nice increase. So you do see a couple big ones, 5.56 million, 1.99 million. So that's kind of a positive thing. But going back over here, of the call options that are being purchased today, there is a consensus for it to be over roughly about 750. And if it is able to close above 750, you're going to see 54,000 options at that 750 strike price being exercised, meaning there's going to be a nice bump up in the stock price on the following day, so meaning Monday. So that should be a fairly good kickstart for SoFi. Just again, the only thing it needs to do is stay above 750. Looking at puts though, it is more so orienting itself to be sub $7. And that's, like I said already, based on the technicals. So a lot of people are anticipating for SoFi just to continue to bleed down, leading into their probably most epic earnings of all time. So I see that as backwards. I don't know about you guys. You guys do your own due diligence. I'm not a financial advisor, of course. So when it comes down to this, so some support and resistance points, with it closing at 752, it is trading between this S3 and this S2. So in comparison to a lot of other growth stocks, SoFi has been hit kind of hard. So that's, in my opinion, unjustified. But 729 is going to be a very strong support. And when it comes down to it, I do feel it kind of bounced generally off of that area. And this is why it had a nice bump up to 750. So that's kind of my interpretation of the technicals, at least what happened today. $7.60 is going to be that next strong resistance, and then above that 779, 810, and 841. So I do feel with a hint of positive data potentially coming out within the broader market, that could really cause a lot of value investors to come in and breaking past a lot of these resistance points. But like I said in the past, just number of retail investors are getting tired with just the manipulation with SoFi, so they have been getting out. Stochastic is currently at 5, which does match with what I said already, the fact that it's oversold. So if there's a good piece of news, whether it's SoFi specific or just for the broader market, a lot of people and institutions are going to rush towards value stocks such as SoFi, which some people don't really see SoFi as a value stock. I do, especially based on what they offer and the discount it is. But then again, as I always say, I'm not a financial advisor. But moving on though, I just want to quickly play this 1-minute video because it talks on recession and just how things are still going to be relatively good going forward. And they do kind of touch on some data and how it's very strong. I know I mentioned GDP coming from China was weak, but core retail sales was very strong. So consumers still the key pivotal part of the economy, and it is holding up. So let me know your thoughts.
If the economy's performance is about as good as it gets, why do you say that recession risks are still elevated at 25%? Down from the 50% you thought was likely last year. Didn't happen. But why do you think recession risks are still elevated in an economy that is performing well?
Well, Tyler, I don't think we can feel entirely comfortable about the economic outlook until the Fed starts lowering interest rates. I mean, they're close. They're gearing up for it. They're forecasting 3 rate cuts this year, a quarter point each time. So we're almost there. But until that happens, it's hard to declare the coast is clear here. With rates this high, the yield curve is inverted as it is. That puts a lot of pressure on the financial system, banking system, and so, things can go off the rails. So, I'm feeling pretty good about the economy. All the trend lines look really good. The risks of recession are starting to fade. I even think there's some upside risks potentially for the economy as well. But until the Fed starts cutting rates, I don't think we can declare victory.
What would an upside risk be? What would it look like?
What we got in 2023, I mean, it looks like GDP growth in 23 is going to come in at 2.5%, which is really very good, above most estimates of the economy's potential. And that happened because we got a lot of growth in the labor force, and labor productivity growth was also very strong. And that could continue into 2024. And if it does, then we have more room to run. We can get more growth without having any pickup in inflation, and the Fed can cut rates.
So yeah, there you have it. Once again, consumer data very much strong, driving the market potentially higher in 2024. And that does in turn really help the banking system. And like I've said, SoFi is kind of a good hybrid, best of both worlds. And so it is going to stand to benefit significantly. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with SoFi? With all that, appreciate all of you watching.